Welcome to whitetail season here at AmericanHunter.org. I just got back from pulling the cards out of these two cameras that I've got back by my ground blind. My plan here, as I talked about last week, I'm going to start getting some pictures of this big buck, that double G4 buck, before I go in there and start hunting that ground blind. He's been a little bit slow to accept it. He didn't like, I don't think he liked it very well when I pulled that blind in there right in the middle of that soybean patch. But I've got a strategy in place now. We got the local dog barking and parked up here next to a house right on the main road. This is kind of what I do a lot when I'm out hunting, is I'll try to match my activity with the normal human activity in that area. I have to walk quite a ways to get back into where I'm hunting here, but at least I've got something to cover when I pull in and park. I'm not so worried about the deer getting onto me right away. And having this kind of diversion already in place allows me to sort of move the ruckus a little bit deeper. And it's natural enough that I think we can push the deer off the field without really putting him on red alert. So I think he'd come back out again maybe even that same evening, and hopefully, you know, if we don't get the shot the first time in, we'd have a chance at him later in the season. So that's always the challenge whenever you're hunting these ground blinds or anything around a food plot, is how are you going to get out of there at the end of legal shooting time? And I think, well, there's three options. You know, first option is sleep in the blind, stay overnight, wait till the next morning and then leave. The second best option is have some kind of a diversion that moves back in and moves the deer off more naturally, and that allows us to sneak out and get away from the ground blind without the deer knowing that we were in there. And the third one, of course, is to try to sneak out. And that usually doesn't work. Sometimes you can get the perfect setup where you can make that work. But my guess is we're going to go with plan B. And I just pulled the cards, so I'm going to look at them right now back at the office and see if that deer's been coming in closer to the blind now. And if that's the case, the wind is perfect for this evening. We've got a nice kind of a west-northwesterly wind. And the forecast calls for a lot of warm temperatures coming in. So my guess is we're going to be looking at more southerly winds as the week goes on. So hopefully he's on there, because this might be our first really good opportunity and maybe our only one for a few days here. I'd like to say he's going to be close, but I don't think he's ready to accept that blind just yet, but we'll find out. Well, the deer is definitely coming back out there again, which is good news. Looked like 2 nights ago and 3 nights ago. Actually in the afternoon, right at the end of legal shooting time, or a little bit before in both cases. So that tells me that I need to get in there. So I'm going to hunt this evening. We've got the right wind. I just checked it. It's best to have something out of the north or the northwest, and that's exactly what we've got for this evening. So there's no reason not to wait, or there's no reason not to hunt him this evening. I can't imagine any reason why not to. So now the whole trick is figuring out the diversion that we're going to use if the buck comes out, or if he doesn't come out, we're going to have deer out there. These cameras have shown us there's plenty of deer using this food plot. We need a way to get out of the blind at the end of legal shooting time. So I've decided that the best diversion is going to be somebody running a chainsaw and running along the edge of the field. You know, I pointed out the fact that it's near this house. There's always activity up in those areas. So we're just going to make more noise and move the noise deeper out into the field until the food plot clears. So that's the strategy. It's risky. Everything we're doing is risky. Putting that ground blind in there was risky, and doing something to blow the field is risky, because you don't know how a 6.5-year-old buck is going to take that. You know, I feel like, you know, it's that or sleeping in the blind all night, and there's risk with that too, because you're going to be in there for a long time with a lot of deer close to the blind. So that's the way hunting is. But anyway, good news, he's there. We're going to give him a try this evening, so come back again next week. And we're not going to wait and produce the show for you tomorrow if I get him tonight. So you're going to have to come back again next week and see how this hunt goes. Looks like the winds are going to be good for the whole week coming up, so we'll pick our punches here and we'll get out and hunt this deer just as often as it makes sense. So I appreciate you joining me. We'll be back here again next week for the next episode of Whitetail Season right here at AmericanHunter.org.